Hi, my name's Horton and I'm a 3D documentations engineer for FARO UK, working with our FARO focus team, a range of laser scanners covering the X series of scanners and Scene 5.3. With the recent release of Scene 5.3, I've recorded 3 separate movies that will walk you through the new features and show you how to use them. I hope you enjoy them. Okay, so the first new feature I'm going to walk you through of Scene 5.3 is cloud-to-cloud registration. This is a simple scan that I did a couple of weeks ago on the hill just outside my house in Gloucestershire. 6 simple scans of a church, no targets whatsoever. And what I've tried to do is work from the back of the church and around and down, so I've got both an orientation and a height difference. As I go into the correspondence view, that you'll see that using just the GPS data on the scanner itself, I've actually got some form of registration, or positional I should say, but given the overlap of colours you can see that there's not very good registration, so I'm going to have to do some more work on this. We've changed the process a little bit, so if I go into the operations menu, registration, we're now working under a place scans menu. I've got my traditional target based registration with all the settings, but I've now got a top view registration and a cloud to cloud. Top view is mainly a rough registration process for internal or external. I'm going to use the cloud to cloud registration. I'm not going to change the settings, but I'm certainly going to use the sensors on the scanner itself, and I'm just going to click OK. I've actually trimmed this process a little bit just to save time on the recordings, but as you'll see when the dialog box pops up, based on the settings I've actually got a red traffic light. So the scan's failed, although saying that it's only failed on one of the scans. I'll leave everything as it is in here for now, and what I'm going to do is go back and make some changes to the settings in the registration process. So back into placing scans, I'm going to increase the subsampling to be absolutely maximum. This will have an effect on time. I'm going to increase the number of iterations, and I'm going to increase my search radius just to give me a little bit more overlap on my scans in case I jump too far. Again, I've trimmed this, but the system now is going to go through more iterations, so it'll take slightly longer. I've now got an amber light. It's passed, but it's not great. I've still got mean tensions of 12mm. But if I come back in and look at my scan point tensions, I've actually got a reasonable overlap percentage and using a good amount of points on the scan data. So just by tweaking the settings there, I've got a half decent registration. If I go back now and look at correspondence view, you can start to see that my colour overlap is a lot better than it was before. So again, without any targets, without spheres, without reference points or anything like that, I've just come back from site, done a cloud to cloud registration, waited for a couple of minutes, and actually got results that on this particular job I'd be quite happy using. Looking at it in 3D, if we start to analyse the data, then we can see we've not got any strange overlaps or anything like that, and based on just going to site and coming back and doing it, it's actually done a relatively good job. Next off, I'm going to try a cloud-to-cloud registration in an environment where I knew that my GPS sensor wasn't going to work. This is a job I did a couple of weeks ago. It's a basement environment in central London, whereby there's lots going on in the room, there's lots of displays, so I only did 4 scans to get it done in time because there were lots of people walking around as well. That would potentially have an effect on your cloud-to-cloud registration if you've got lots of moving targets in the job. In this particular environment, I would probably have put targets out as a backup, although looking at the walls, the floors, the particular features of the room, I could actually do an untargeted registration just by using mean points and planes and things like that. If we look at the correspondence view, you'll see that I don't have any GPS data, and as before with the church, where everything was nicely positioned, in this environment all the scans are stacked on top of one another and actually have no overlap whatsoever. So the central point for the scan is in exactly the same location. Again, just by looking at this, I can see that I'm going to have to do some extra work because I don't have any GPS data. And it comes down to whether you're going to trust yourself with cloud to cloud, or you're going to put in some targets, or you're confident enough that you can use natural features in the environment. Again, straight into placing the scans. I'll go for cloud to cloud, and this time I'm not going to touch any of the standard settings whatsoever, leave them as they are as default. Again, check which sensors I've got. I could turn GPS off, but I'm just leaving it on. I have actually clipped this as well just to save time, but what you'll see is the system will go through and do 30 iterations and instantly give me a green light. Looking at the accuracy here, I've actually registered these together with 0.9 of a millimeter. I've got a good overlap of 66%, and I'm using a lot more points than I was doing on the church. So again, cloud to cloud has proved itself, but I would have a backup of using natural features themselves. That about covers all the features for cloud to cloud registration. Thank you for listening, and I hope you enjoyed it.